The air in the battlefield was thick with tension. Ethan's body was battered, bruised, and bloodied. His mission had failed, and now, the very survival of humanity seemed uncertain. He had been part of the human resistance, fighting against the alien forces that had ravaged their world for years. But fate had a cruel way of making things turn. A blast from an alien weapon had left him severely injured, and the pain was unbearable. The only thing keeping him conscious was the thought that he might die here, in the middle of a war that seemed endless. His breaths were shallow, and his vision blurred as he lay on the cold ground, waiting for the inevitable. As the chaos of the battle raged around him, a strange figure emerged from the smoke. Ethan's vision wavered, and for a moment he wasn't sure if it was a dream or reality. The figure was unlike anything he had ever seen before. Tall, graceful, with pale, almost ethereal skin that shimmered in the light. The figure wore a long, dark cloak that seemed to merge with the surroundings. But it wasn't the cloak that caught his attention, it was the eyes that were a piercing shade of glowing amber, filled with an intelligence and calmness that seemed to transcend anything human. The alien stepped forward, her movements fluid and unhurried, as if she had all the time in the universe. There was no rush in her steps, no sense of fear or urgency. The world around her seemed to fade into a distant hum as she knelt beside Ethan. The soldiers who had been fighting moments ago stopped in their tracks, watching this mysterious figure with a mix of curiosity and disbelief. Who are you?" Ethan managed to croak, his voice weak and strained. His body felt like it was betraying him, and yet this alien figure seemed so composed, so at ease. The soldiers stood behind her, frozen, their weapons lowered, unsure if they should aim or stand back. The alien doctor looked at him, her expression soft yet determined. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she placed a slender hand on his forehead, her touch cool, almost soothing. The temperature of her skin felt otherworldly, like she wasn't quite of this planet. Ethan's mind was swirling, his body aching, but somehow the strange sensation of her touch was calming, like a lullaby that soothed the chaos around him. "Trust me, human," she said softly, her voice smooth like the sound of a breeze flowing through trees. It wasn't an order, but a request, one that rang in Ethan's ears with a sense of both authority and gentleness. The soldiers behind her exchanged uncertain glances. They had fought against this very species for years, and now, this alien was claiming to be their savior. Was it possible? Could an alien, someone from the very race they had been fighting, actually heal them? The notion seemed absurd, yet something about the way she spoke, calm, confident, and composed, instilled a faint spark of hope in Ethan's heart. He was losing consciousness, his body giving in to the overwhelming fatigue. But this alien, this stranger who had just appeared out of nowhere, was offering him a way out. "What are you going to do to me?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The alien doctor's eyes softened. "I will heal you. But first you must trust me. I have the ability to mend wounds that even your human technology cannot fix. It is a gift of my kind, a gift I offer freely, with no strings attached. But your trust is required." Ethan's mind raced. He had seen alien technology in battle, but this was something entirely different, something unknown. The idea that an alien, one of the enemies, could heal him seemed too far-fetched to be true. But there was something in the air, something that felt almost magical about this encounter. His body ached, his breath shallow and labored, and all he wanted was to escape the unbearable pain. For a moment he thought about refusing, but then his eyes met the alien doctor's again. Those eyes, glowing, warm, inviting, held a promise he couldn't ignore. Without thinking, without hesitation, he nodded. "I trust you," he muttered, the words slipping from his lips as if they were meant to be said. His mind felt fuzzy, but he knew in his heart that this was his only chance. The alien doctor smiled, a subtle curve of her lips that gave her an ethereal appearance. She placed her hand over his chest where the injury was deepest. Ethan flinched slightly at the contact, but there was no pain. The air around them seemed to shift. The sound of battle faded into a distant hum, and in that moment, it was just the two of them, alone, suspended in time. As she whispered an ancient word in a language he didn't understand, a soft glow began to emanate from her fingertips. Ethan's eyes widened as he felt a warmth spread through his chest. The wound, the injury that had been bleeding profusely moments ago, began to close. The skin knitted itself back together before his very eyes. He gasped, his mind struggling to comprehend what was happening. "Trust me, human," she repeated, softly, as if to reassure him. Ethan's heart raced. He was no longer sure of what was real. Could this alien doctor truly heal him? Was this some sort of trick? The questions swirled in his head, but his body felt the change. He felt his strength returning. The pain that had consumed him was fading. Slowly, he managed to sit up, staring at the alien in awe. The camera zoomed in on Dr. Lyra's face, highlighting the calmness in her expression, the power behind her actions. The glow from her hands faded, but the effects of the healing lingered. Ethan was no longer in immediate danger, and the soldiers around them stood in stunned silence. The tension in the air was palpable as Dr. Lyra took a step back. Her job was done. She had healed the human soldier, but her actions had raised more questions than answers. Was this just the beginning of a new chapter in human-alien relations? Or was there something more at play? As Dr. Lyra turned to leave, Ethan's voice caught her attention once again. "Why?" he asked, his voice thick with curiosity and gratitude. "Why did you help me?" The alien doctor paused for a moment, her eyes locking with his. "Because, human," she said softly, "we are not so different after all." With those final words, she disappeared into the shadows of the battlefield, leaving behind an uncertain silence. But one thing was clear. Ethan's life had been saved, and the mysteries surrounding this alien doctor were far from over. Ethan's mind was swirling, still trying to make sense of what had just happened. One minute, he was bleeding out in the middle of a battlefield, certain that his life would end there. The next, an alien doctor, Dr. Lyra, had appeared and used some mysterious method to heal him. It felt like a dream. The pain that had once consumed his body was now gone, replaced by a strange sense of warmth and vitality. But even as he sat up, a fresh wave of doubt washed over him. Was this real? Could an alien doctor really have healing powers beyond anything humanity had ever imagined? His hands trembled slightly as he pushed himself to his feet. He looked around at the battlefield, which had fallen into a tense stillness. The soldiers who had been fighting just moments ago were now frozen, staring at him, unsure of what to do. Were they supposed to trust this alien? Could they? Dr. Lyra stood a few steps away, her eyes focused on Ethan. Her posture was calm and confident, as though she had done this 1,000 times. She didn't seem to be in any rush, and that, in itself, made Ethan uneasy. There was something unnervingly serene about her. She wasn't like the other aliens they had fought against, hostile, relentless, and terrifying. No, Dr. Lyra seemed different. She radiated an energy that felt almost kind. But that didn't mean Ethan could fully trust her. How could he? The air between them was thick with tension, and Ethan struggled to speak. How did you do that?" he finally asked, his voice shaky. He couldn't believe he was asking this question to an alien. He had seen so many of them over the years, but never like this. Never one who claimed to heal instead of harm. "Doctor." Lyra's expression softened. She looked almost sad for a moment, as if she had heard this question countless times before. She took a step closer, her movements graceful and deliberate. "You are not the first human I have healed," she replied in a calm, almost melodic tone. "But you are the first to trust me without question." Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. Trust? Was that really what this was about? Or was there more to it? He had trusted her, sure, but in this war-torn world, trust was not something easily given. He looked down at the wound, now healed and smooth, and yet a part of him wondered, what was the cost of this healing? As if reading his mind, Dr. Lyra continued, my kind has a gift, a biological process that allows us to heal injuries, physical and emotional, using the same substances that our bodies naturally produce. Saliva is one of those substances. It carries the healing enzymes that help accelerate tissue regeneration, but it requires more than just biology. It requires energy, focus, and most importantly, trust. Ethan frowned. Trust? Trust in what? That you'll heal me without any hidden agenda? Dr. Lyra didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked over to a small table nearby and picked up a vial of glowing liquid. The liquid inside seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light, pulsing with energy. Trust that I am here to help, not to harm, she said softly, her voice carrying an undeniable sense of sincerity. The healing process is not just about fixing the body. It's about understanding the spirit and the mind. You are not just a soldier to me. You are a being with your own fears, hopes, and pain. That is what I heal. Ethan watched her closely. Her words were comforting, but they also felt strange. The idea that an alien could understand his pain, his inner struggles, seemed almost absurd. But the way she spoke with such quiet confidence made him question his own assumptions. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pang in his chest, and his mind flashed back to the battle. The sounds of explosions, the cries of fallen comrades, it all came, rushing back. He had been a part of this war for so long that it had become his identity. He was just a soldier, one in a sea of others, all fighting for a cause that seemed impossible. And yet, here he was standing before an alien who had healed him, offering him something more than just survival. She was offering him a chance to feel whole again. Dr. Lyra's gaze never wavered as she watched him. She seemed to sense his internal struggle, and her voice was gentle but firm. The healing is not just physical, Ethan. It will take time for your mind to catch up. The battle you fought outside is mirrored inside, but you must let go of the war within you. Only then can you heal completely. Ethan shook his head, not fully understanding. I don't know if I can let go, he admitted, his voice trembling. The war has been my life. I've lost so much, my comrades, my home, my family. I don't know who I am without it. Dr. Lyra stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. The touch was light, but it carried a weight of understanding. You are more than just a soldier, Ethan. You are a survivor, a healer in your own right. You can choose to carry the weight of the war with you, or you can choose to heal, to move forward. For a moment, Ethan didn't know how to respond. He felt a war waging inside him, just as fierce as the one he had fought on the battlefield. The alien doctor's words had cut through the armor he had built around himself over the years, and now he was left feeling exposed. But before he could speak, a loud noise broke through the silence. One of the soldiers, who had been standing in the background, suddenly stumbled forward. His face was pale and he appeared shaken. Doc, he yelled, his voice filled with panic. We've got incoming. More of them. More aliens coming. This way. The calm, serene atmosphere shattered in an instant. Dr. Lyra's eyes flicked toward the soldier, and in a heartbeat, her demeanor shifted. The quiet, peaceful alien was now focused, alert, and prepared for action. Stay calm, she said, her voice still steady. I'll help you protect this place, but you must trust me. Ethan's heart raced. The calm was gone, replaced by the same uncertainty he had felt before. Was this really going to be the beginning of something new? Or was this just another trap in a never-ending war? Dr. Lyra turned to face him, and for the first time, Ethan saw something in her eyes, a flicker of something deeper, something more dangerous. Trust me, Ethan, she said once more, her voice low and intense. The real battle is just beginning. And with that, the story shifted again. The healing process had only just begun, and the secrets of Dr. Lyra's abilities, and her true intentions, remained hidden beneath the surface. The world around Ethan had become a blur. His body had healed, yes, but his mind was a whirlwind of questions and doubts. Dr. Lyra's presence seemed to shift everything he had ever known about the universe. One moment, she was a mysterious alien doctor offering him healing and hope. The next, she was a force of quiet authority, leading him into the unknown. The soldiers had gone back to their posts, preparing for whatever might come next. Tensions were still high as the sounds of distant gunfire echoed across the battlefield. The sky above had darkened, and Ethan could feel the weight of the uncertainty pressing down on him. What was going on? What had Dr. Lyra meant when she said, "The real battle is just beginning"? And why had she chosen him? Ethan leaned against a wall inside the temporary shelter that had been set up for the injured. His body felt stronger now, thanks to Dr. Lyra's mysterious healing. But his mind was far from at ease. He had expected to feel gratitude, relief even, but instead there was an underlying sense of unease, a nagging thought that told him there was more to this story than he had been told. As if sensing his inner turmoil, Dr. Lyra appeared beside him, her presence calm yet commanding. She had always maintained a cool exterior, but now there was a certain gravity to her demeanor. Her amber eyes met his, and for a brief moment, it felt like they were the only two beings in the universe. "I know you have questions, Ethan," she said, her voice soft but steady, "and I will answer them. But first, you need to understand the truth behind what I did. The healing is only part of the story. What you don't know yet is far more significant." Ethan's eyes narrowed, his instincts telling him this was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment where everything would finally make sense. "What truth?" he asked, his voice hoarse from all the questions piling up in his mind. "What are you really doing here? Why heal me? And why now?" Dr. Lyra took a deep breath as if gathering her thoughts. She looked out the window for a moment, her gaze distant, before turning back to Ethan. "My people, the Zypherians, have been watching Earth for a long time," she began, her tone steady. "We have observed your planet, your species, your capacity for both destruction and incredible compassion. But we've also seen the path you're on, the war you are fighting. It is a war that will destroy everything if it continues. You see, your battle is not just with us, it is with yourselves." Ethan stared at her, unsure of what she was implying. "You're telling me this is about more than just your people and ours? That the war we're fighting isn't the real enemy?" Dr. Lyra nodded, her eyes never leaving his. "Yes, the true threat is not the Zypherians or any other alien species. The real danger comes from the choices you make, the darkness inside of you that drives the war, the hatred, the fear, the need for power. It will destroy you long before any alien force does." Ethan felt a chill run through him. He had heard these words before. They were the kind of speeches given by those who tried to preach peace, those who believed that love and unity could save the world. But he had seen the horrors of war with his own eyes. He had seen what fear and hatred could do to people. How could it be that easy? How could a simple shift in mindset change the fate of humanity? "What are you saying, Dr. Lyra? That if we stop fighting, everything will magically get better?" Ethan's voice was laced with skepticism. Dr. Lyra's expression remained calm, but there was a flicker of something, perhaps sadness, in her eyes. "No, I am not saying it will be easy. But the healing process, what I did to you, is not just physical. It is a deeper form of healing. It involves the mind, the spirit, and that is where the true change begins." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "So you're telling me you've healed my body, but you expect me to change the way I think? That's too much to ask, don't you think?" Dr. Lyra stepped closer, her voice firm but gentle. "I am not asking you to change everything, Ethan. I am simply offering you the opportunity to heal, to let go of the weight you carry, of the anger, the hatred. The healing I gave you is a gift. It was not just to save your life, but to show you that there is another way, a way that does not require endless war." Ethan felt the weight of her words, but he wasn't sure he was ready to accept them. "You don't understand," he muttered, looking down at the floor. "The war is all I know. It's all we've ever known. How do I just let go of that?" Dr. Lyra's eyes softened. "I understand more than you think. I have seen my own people torn apart by the same forces that plague your world. War is a disease that infects everyone. It destroys not just bodies, but souls. And the only way to heal from it is to recognize it for what it is and choose a different path. There was a long silence between them as Ethan processed her words. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing on him, but he wasn't sure if he could carry it. Could he really choose peace? Was it even possible in a world so consumed by violence? Before he could respond, a loud explosion echoed from outside, followed by the sound of sirens. The war had come to them. It was impossible to ignore. The battle raged on, and the world outside was as chaotic as ever. Dr. Lyra turned to face the door, her expression resolute. "This is the reality, Ethan," she said, her voice steady. "But it does not have to define you. Your choice is still yours to make. You can choose to heal or you can continue to fight." The room grew heavy with tension as Ethan stared at her, torn between the path of peace she was offering and the war that had defined his entire existence. For the first time in his life, he was faced with a choice that didn't involve the battlefield. It was a choice between hope and fear, between healing and destruction. Dr. Lyra's voice cut through the silence once more, a quiet yet powerful reminder. The truth behind healing, Ethan, is that it begins with you. It begins with your willingness to trust. As she walked toward the door, Ethan was left with a deep, unsettling thought. Could he really change? The chaos outside had intensified. The distant sounds of war, the sharp crack of gunfire, and the whine of alien technology tearing through the air echoed across the battlefield. Yet, inside the shelter where Ethan stood, it was eerily quiet. Dr. Lyra had said the real battle was just beginning, but Ethan didn't understand what that meant. How could peace be possible when war raged outside? How could anyone believe that change was even possible when all they had ever known was conflict and survival? As Dr. Lyra turned to face him, her calm expression never wavered. It was as if she was unaffected by the madness outside, as if she had seen it all before, and maybe, in some strange way, she had. The alien doctor had spoken of healing more than just the body. She had spoken of the spirit, of overcoming the internal battles that waged inside each of them. It was a concept that seemed impossible to grasp, but something about her unwavering confidence stirred something deep within him. "You still have a choice, Ethan." Dr. Lyra's voice broke through his thoughts. "But the decision is yours. Healing can only begin when you stop fighting against it." Ethan looked at her, uncertainty flooding his chest. His life had always been defined by the war, the decisions he made in the heat of battle, the sacrifices, the survival. It was all he had ever known. But now, here in the calm of this moment, something inside him was shifting. Could it really be that simple? Could choosing peace, choosing healing, be the key to ending the conflict not only within himself, but for humanity? Outside, the sounds of the battle seemed to grow louder, more urgent. His soldiers, the ones he had fought alongside, were fighting for survival. The enemy was closing in. His comrades needed him. The reality of the war outside was harsh, unyielding and relentless, but Dr. Lyra had healed him. She had saved his life. Was that the first step toward the change she had been talking about? Did he have the strength to trust, to truly change, to become something more than just a soldier? As if sensing his inner conflict, Dr. Lyra stepped closer, her presence soothing yet filled with an undeniable force. "Ethan," she said softly, "you are not defined by the war. You can choose a different path, a path of healing, of understanding. It is a path that requires courage, more courage than fighting, but it is one that leads to something greater." Ethan hesitated. He was a soldier, a fighter. He had spent years preparing himself for battle, for survival. Peace had always seemed like a distant dream, something for others to aspire to, not for someone like him. But now, standing here with Dr. Lyra, he could feel the weight of the choice. A path of peace, a path of understanding, was not easy, but it was possible. His eyes shifted toward the door where the sounds of battle were drawing closer. He could hear the shouts of his fellow soldiers, the clash of weapons, the urgency of the fight. But what was he fighting for? What was the point of all the bloodshed if it never ended? Was there a way to break the cycle of violence and choose a different future? I can't just walk away from this, Ethan said, his voice tight with emotion. I can't leave my people behind. They need me. Dr. Lyra's eyes softened as she stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. I know you want to protect them, Ethan, but the greatest way to protect them is not through fighting. It is through healing. It is through showing them a better way, a way that leads to unity and peace. For a moment, Ethan felt lost. The weight of his past, the weight of his decisions, seemed too heavy to bear. He had been trained for war, for destruction. Peace had always felt like a naive dream, something reserved for the weak. But now, as he stood here, torn between the war that had consumed his life and the possibility of a new path, he began to see things differently. The moment of realization hit him like a wave. It wasn't just about him. It was about the world he wanted to leave behind, the future of humanity, the future of his people. He could choose to be a part of something greater than war. He could choose to be a part of something that healed, something that built, something that would create a lasting peace for future generations. But first he had to let go of the anger, the hatred, and the belief that fighting was the only way to win. With a deep breath, Ethan turned toward Dr. Lyra, the weight of the decision still pressing on him, but now with a sense of clarity. You're right, he said quietly. I've spent so long fighting, so long carrying the weight of this war, that I forgot there could be another way. I don't know if I'm ready for it, but I know this. I can't keep fighting the way I've been. I want to help. I want to heal. Dr. Lyra smiled, her amber eyes warm with understanding. It is not an easy journey, Ethan. But the first step is the hardest, and you have already taken it. As if on cue, the noise from outside grew louder, the urgency of the situation rising once again. Ethan turned to face the door, knowing that the battle was still raging. But now, the battle had changed. It was no longer just about survival. It was about finding a way to end the war, to end the cycle of violence. Dr. Lyra turned to him one last time, her voice resolute. This is your moment, Ethan. The true victory lies in your choice. It is not one with weapons, but with trust, with healing, and with the strength to believe that peace is possible. With those final words, Ethan stepped toward the door, ready to face the world outside. Not as a soldier bound by war, but as a man who had chosen to heal, to change, and to inspire others to do the same. The battle outside was not over, but the real victory had already been won. The victory was not in defeating the enemy, it was in defeating the darkness within and choosing to fight for something greater than war. Ethan was no longer just a soldier. He was a healer, a beacon of hope for a future where peace was possible. And with that, he stepped out into the world, knowing that the true battle was not fought with weapons, but with the courage to believe in something better. The healing had begun, not just for him but for everyone.